This is CEM with Golden Butter Sports, and I'm here to let that butter spread. And I want to talk about a sad, sick, and silly media narrative that's been going on for the last month or so. I'm talking about your Dallas Cowboys. I'm talking about them. What's been the media buildup this year? What's been going on this year? I really wasn't going to talk about this, but since it's so prevalent, this is the new hot thing now, to where the media can get clicks and make some of you Cowboy fans mad, and some of you Cowboy haters just feel so giddy and good and all that junk. What's been the media narrative that's been going on? Well, if you've been living under a rock, you know that the Cowboys have 8 wins. Well, the media narrative is that the Cowboys hadn't beaten any good team. None. They haven't beat the 49ers, or they can't beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and all this junk that they've been talking about. And so that's been the hot take this year. Okay? That's what's going on. So why are they doing it? Well, it's simple, because when they talk about that, they get you guys emotional. It's media buildup, and then you click on it and you listen to what they have to say, and then you spread it on your little feed and on your little internet post or whatever you want to do. And so it draws ratings, because that's what the Cowboys do. They draw ratings, whether you love them or hate them. In fact, that game that they played against the Commanders, it drew over 40 million viewers. Yeah. Because the Cowboys got it like that, because people are interested in the Cowboys. And so this is the new hot take now. Now, let me ask you a question, a simple question. Do the Cowboys have to apologize for winning? In fact, let's not just leave it at the Cowboys. Does any pro team have to apologize for winning? Do they have to apologize to you? Do they have to repent of wins? No team has to repent of wins. However, you do have to repent of sins. But you don't repent of wins. I'm sorry I had to get biblical like that. But you don't repent of wins. You repent of sins. But no team is going to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I won that game the way we won. I'm sorry that we won it the way we did. I'm sorry that our win didn't meet your satisfaction. Listen, these teams don't owe you nothing. They don't answer to us. They don't answer to you. Media, they don't answer to you. Now, you might think that they do, but they really don't have to. Now, yeah, in some sense, they have to answer your ridiculous, stupid questions on media day and stuff like that, so they don't get fined. So now they forced to do it. But in all honesty, they don't owe you nothing. And they don't have to win the way you want them to, because everybody wants this storybook type of game and entertainment and things like that. No, you didn't put 5 in on that. You didn't put 5 on it. You didn't exercise with them. You didn't study the playbook with them. No, you ain't in the locker room with them. Not like that. So they don't owe you nothing. No, a win is a win, regardless of what's on that schedule. And speaking of that, the Cowboys did not make that schedule. Okay? The NFL made that schedule. The Cowboys didn't make that schedule. So don't blame the Cowboys for who they have to play, okay? It makes no sense to try to sit up there and blame the Cowboys for who's on their schedule. The NFL made that schedule. Listen, folks, this is not college. You don't pick and choose the teams you want to play so you can pick this sorry team here that you know you can beat, bring them down there for homecoming. Yeah, bring them to your little stadium for homecoming. Then you beat the brakes off of them. Yeah, pay them $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever these schools pay these other schools to come down there and get the brakes beat off of them. And then you feel good and giddy about the win, and you go on about your merry way. No, this is not college, folks. This is the NFL. You know what that means in the NFL? The NFL means you can get beat by any team on any Sunday, any Monday, or any Thursday. Yeah. Don't bring your A game and see what happens. You can get beat, and you will get beat. It's very hard to win in this league. And so the Cowboys are not responsible for a schedule that the NFL put out. Okay? That's not how we gonna run this. Now, I saw some of your predictions. Most of you didn't have the Cowboys winning no more than 9 games. Yeah. Some of your predictions, not all the people, but most of the media didn't think that the Cowboys are going to win 9 games. They already at 8. Yeah. What's up now? Some of these so-called prognosticators, if you want to even call them that, your predictions ain't looking so good. Well, what happened? Well, the Cowboys start winning what was on the schedule. Some of you, let me just point out, Colin Cowherd, just a ridiculous guy, just ridiculous. This guy, when the Cowboys lost to the mighty 49ers, I'm going to deal with them in a minute. When the Cowboys lost to the 49ers, he put out some ridiculous stat and then said that he was picking the Chargers to beat the Cowboys. Ooh, Eckler's coming back and all that stuff. And when teams lose to the 49ers, they some ridiculous losing stat. I didn't care anything about that. You know what mattered? The Cowboys went out there and beat the Chargers. The Chargers, at the time, were a decent team. Yeah, at least that's what Colin Cowherd thought. Yeah. Then what happened? The Cowboys beat them. Okay. Then that very next day, he turns out and says, uh, uh, the Cowboys hadn't played anybody. They hadn't done anything. They just all talked for 25 years. And they beat a weak team in the Chargers. Do you see how he moved the goalpost? Yeah, that was his fallback. Well, wait a minute, Doc. You said that the Cowboys was going to lose to the Chargers. Why you change your mind all of a sudden? And then he wanted to point out how weak the Chargers were. No, you don't have it both ways, player. No, that's not journalism. That's you just making a bad prediction, and then you want to fall back on a media narrative that's been going on for years about the Cowboys, that they hadn't won a Super Bowl in 25 years. Okay, guess what? The 49ers hadn't won a Super Bowl in 27 years. I don't care about them. I didn't say anything about them going. I said one. You want to hold that standard to the Cowboys? They hadn't won a Super Bowl, right? Hadn't won. Well, the 49ers hadn't won a Super Bowl since 1994. Where you at, player? And a lot of these teams hadn't won a Super Bowl in many years. So you don't get to have it both ways, partner. No. So all of a sudden now the Cowboys don't get credit for winning. No, what it is, your predictions are bad, and now you want to change. Now you want to change around. No, you don't have it both ways. So this is the media buildup that we're talking about. This is what Michael Parsons was talking about. This nonsense here. You're wrong on the team, and then you want to change and go to another point that's pointless. Next, let me just ask you something. How do you make the playoffs in the first place? How do you make the playoffs? Come on, go. How do you make the playoffs? It's a simple answer. You win. Now, how do you not make the playoffs? Ooh, that's a hard question, isn't it? No. If you lose games, you won't make the playoffs. You'll be sitting right at the house looking at the Super Bowl and the playoffs and all this stuff right along with the rest of us. As those boys on TNT, you go on fishing. See you next year, all that junk. The only way that you can make the playoffs, you have to win the games. And by the way, you have to win the games that's on your schedule. Yeah. Should the Cowboys apologize for winning? No, they don't have to apologize for winning. It's very hard to win in this league. But let me just ask you something. What happens if they lose those games? What happens when, let me just give you an example of this. You lose to a sorry team, so you say. How you going to feel about losing to that team? They on the schedule. What you supposed to do with them? You supposed to beat them. Let's just go down the list. Let's just see. The Cowboys lost, remember, to the Cardinals. That wasn't a good team. They didn't have any business losing to Josh Dobbs. You finding out that Josh Dobbs won't win the league long as a starting quarterback. You're about to find that out. Josh Dobbs a nice guy. Good thing he has a real good day job, Mr. Rocket Scientist. Get ready to go to NASA. Yeah. But in the meantime, as a starting quarterback, not right now. The Minnesota Vikings, for instance, just the other day, they lost to the Bears at home. You supposed to beat the Bears, right? They on your schedule. What happened? See, what happened? Okay, let's use another one. What happened to the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving? What happened to them? They were supposed to beat Green Bay, wasn't it? What happened? They got beat. Why? They ain't bring their A game. Because in the NFL, any team can beat you. Yeah. What about the Philadelphia Eagles? I'm going to get to them in more detail later. But what about the Philadelphia Eagles? They lost to the jittery Jets. The Jets? Zach Wilson? The MILF guy? They lost to that team. Yeah. They lost to him. Okay, so now what about the mighty 49ers who everybody is picking to win the Super Bowl? Let me go ahead and click on it. I don't care if you hear me click. I'm going to click on their schedule because they was trying to talk about the Cowboys schedule. Let's talk about the 49ers schedule. Let's just look. And let's just be real objective about it. Okay? Let's just see. The first game of the season, they played a very weak offensive team in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh had no chance of beating the mighty 49ers. Pittsburgh is not a very good team. Regardless of that record, they're not a very good team. They might still make the playoff, but they're not winning no Super Bowl. They're not a juggernaut by any stretch of the imagination. They had to fire their offensive coordinator. They was that bad. And the 49ers took advantage of that. Then they played the Rams. You know, the same team that the Cowboys played, the Rams, them. Not a juggernaut, are they? No. Then they played the Giants. Wait, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, yeah, they were supposed to be a pretty good team. At least that's what y'all thought. When they played the Cowboys, y'all thought that they were going to beat the Cowboys, didn't you? Didn't happen. But look at it. Look at the schedule. Pittsburgh, Rams, Giants, and then they played the Cardinals. That sound like a team. That sound like a juggernaut schedule to you? Yeah. Then they played the Cowboys, who, by the way, the Cowboys are still trying to figure out their pathetic offense, and it's still pathetic in the red zone, whether you know it or not. Yeah, I know the Cowboys have been scoring a bunch of points here lately, but they still have offensive problems. Don't be fooled by that stuff. They still have offensive problems in the red zone. They do. They just picked it up here a little while. They might have found something now, but that's for later. Well, since the 49ers didn't know how to act, and I'm talking about that little ridiculous tight end that I can't stand too much because he disrespected the game. Look, dude, you have kids that's watching this game. You need to have a little bit more common sense than to put some derogatory statement on national TV. Don't be a punk. Yeah, I said that. So they didn't know how to act when they beat the Cowboys. Yeah, they didn't know how to act. And so then they go to Cleveland. And I don't care about them having injuries. I don't care about the 49ers having injuries. Do you care about the 49ers having injuries? No. Nobody cares about, no NFL team cares about any other team having injuries. Ooh, that's tough. Play with who you have. Because the Cleveland Browns didn't have Deshaun Watson. They don't have an offense. The 49ers didn't have any business losing to Cleveland. They should have beat Cleveland. But they lost. Then they turn around. Hey, by the way, the Minnesota Vikings. I thought that was a good team. They really not that good, are they? but they lost to them. I don't care about your injuries. Minnesota wasn't a good team. No, they were still trying to figure it out, but you lost to them. Then all of a sudden, a good team come through there. At the time, they were good. I don't know what's going to happen to them now. But Joe Burrow and the boys come through there, went to their house and beat the brakes off of them. What happened? They didn't bring their A game. Yeah, sounds similar to the Cowboys, don't it? Because they had to play what was on their schedule and they got beat. They did what they were supposed to do in winning the games, but then when they didn't bring their A game, they got beat. They turned around and beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was a pretty good win right there. Yeah, it was a pretty good win. Now, the 49ers are a good team. You know why? Because they winning. Well, guess what? The Cowboys are a good team. Why? Because they winning. Now, with all that being said, does this guarantee any of these teams winning the Super Bowl? No. It don't guarantee anything. In fact, let me go ahead and give you another ridiculous media tape that I heard. I heard one of our local guys talking about I would rather that the Cowboys win like Philadelphia. What are you talking about, man? Win like Philadelphia? What are you talking about is win like them, win these close games. Dude, let me ask you again. Winning like Philadelphia, is that going to guarantee Philadelphia is going to the Super Bowl, or is it going to guarantee them winning the Super Bowl? Which one is it? It doesn't guarantee any of that. Let's look at Philadelphia for a second here. Philadelphia has 10 wins. They not apologizing for any of those wins. They're going through a tough part of their schedule, and a lot of people pick them to lose most of these games. Yeah. Now, when they first started playing, their schedule was not that tough. Go back and look at the first 6, 7, 8 games that they play. Not that tough. If you're going to go by the standards that you're giving the Cowboy, go back and look at the schedule for the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't that tough. And that latter part of their schedule is not that tough. Right now, they're in the tough part of their schedule. I have to admit that. The Philadelphia Eagles are a good team. Why? Because they're winning. Yeah. They could have lost to the Cowboys, but they didn't. They could have lost to the Chiefs, but they didn't. They could have lost to the Buffalo Bills, but they didn't. They could have lost all their games, but they didn't. They did. They almost lost to the Patriots, but they didn't. In fact, they did lose to the Jets. We just mentioned that. But the mere fact that they 10-1 doesn't guarantee that they win in the Super Bowl. So winning like the Philadelphia Eagles means nothing. All it guarantees is that they have a win for 1 week. They're not guaranteed next week. No team is. And they not apologizing to you about their wins. Not at all. So now, what are we supposed to do when teams win? We supposed to be mad that they won? No, you'll be more upset when they lose to these sorry teams that you call sorry. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd be very mad if you lose to sorry teams or teams that you supposed to be better than. That upsets me. Losing to a good team, hey, it happens. Everybody gets beat. It happens. So now let me get to this other media take here. Let me get to this one. The ridiculous narrative. What happens? What happens if the Cowboys were to beat Seattle or beat Philadelphia? So-called winning teams, these winning teams. I heard one of these ridiculous women on one of these little shows, and she had this little media take. Well, if they beat them, then they still have to win in the playoffs. Well, yeah, you're right. Well, and then if they win in the playoffs and don't win the Super Bowl, it's not gonna matter. See, it doesn't. See, did you hear this nonsense? What matters? She put that on the Cowboys. You have to put that on all teams, lady, and all you haters and all you fans, whoever you are. There is no such thing as a second place winner in the NFL. All teams are losers if they don't win the Super Bowl. Do you understand that? So to move the goalpost on the Cowboys is crazy. You have to do it for all teams. Every last one of them. Now, they don't have to apologize to you for winning, but it doesn't guarantee that them winning in the regular season that they're going to win in the playoffs. The only thing that matters is winning the Super Bowl, the whole thing. Yeah. Winning like Philadelphia, I don't care. Beating San Francisco, I don't care. The Cowboys could, listen, the Cowboys could beat Philadelphia in the playoffs, beat San Francisco in the playoffs, go to the Super Bowl and lose. Who's going to remember the Dallas Cowboys? Who's going to remember them? You haters will, and you know what you'll bring up? Y'all lost in the Super Bowl. Okay, let's flip the thing. Let's say that the Cowboys lose to Philadelphia, but then all of a sudden they get hot. Go to the Super Bowl and win. You know what'll be said? It's about time y'all won the Super Bowl. Just silly. And then you know what people will say again? Oh, you won't win it next year. See, you can't win, see? So it doesn't matter what the Cowboys do. What matters to the Cowboys is that they win. That's it. Just win. Play the teams that's on your schedule and beat them. Okay? That's all they have to do. And they don't owe you an apology, and they don't owe you anything else. They don't answer to you. So now, with all that being said, why don't you worry about your team winning what's on your schedule? In fact, I got to bring this up. Mike Greenberg, I do like Mike Greenberg. Used to be on Mike and Mike. Okay. I had never, ever seen him wear a New York Jets jersey until Aaron Rodgers came on the scene. Why'd he do that? Because he had hope for his team winning. And the Cowboys have every right to have hope. And I'm talking about the Cowboy fans. You have every right to have hope for your team. You have that right. But what you don't have the right is to have the expectations of your team apologizing to you or to anybody else for winning. The only thing that matters is winning. Herm Edwards said it best. I'll say it again. You play to win the game. And there is no such thing as a second place winner. Now, with that being said, this is CEM, CEM, with Golden Butter Sports, letting that butter spread.